Jeff, welcome. Thrilled to have you, my friend.
Glad to be here.
So I guess I'll open up, and Francis, feel free to jump in with questions. Francis had coached Jeff in his version 1.0 with us. And when you came to us from a standpoint of vision and maybe even like time management, from a standpoint of getting things done, what were your biggest challenges?
The first time I came to you or the second time?
You could talk to both, actually. Great point.
They probably weren't that dissimilar, but I think the biggest hurdles I had to trying to get things done is, again, just having a clear idea of what I was trying to accomplish. So what I'm doing right now, is this helping me get to where I want to be? And instead, I was just doing whatever came up on the desk at that time. And even the second time around too, I was slipping into some of those same bad habits again, but at least this time I recognized I was doing it. And I said, okay, I got to make a change here. This is not taking me the direction I want to go.
And then what are the things you put in place? Because you went from a lot of contingency, you start getting a lot of retained business. What are the things you put in place that allowed you to make more in less time?
Again, this is me coming back because I had left just a little over a year ago, and I was gone for maybe 10 or 11 months, and I came back. And in that amount of time, I saw myself slipping a little bit. So some of the things that I started slipping in was I was still doing my metrics, I was still keeping all that, and I was still doing my planning. But when I started slipping on the metrics, it was like, okay, I'll make that up. And it just like week after week, okay, I'll make that up. And it didn't happen. And I started making bad choices, trying to scramble to catch up. And then it started becoming a situation of just a series of bad decisions on the types of clients I was going to take on, the type of searches I was going to work on, all of those sort of things. Like you said, having a clarity of vision. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I had been working before, where I was really enjoying it and I was my most successful. But I drifted away from it a little bit. So I knew I needed to get back to that. And I knew I was not going in that right path. And that's when I came back to you guys.
And since you've been back, what are the things working with us or that you've put in place that have gotten the consistency back and that have gotten you use the term fun?
Yeah, I quit working crap job orders. That was probably the biggest thing, is I knew that I had enough faith in myself and what I had done before that I could walk away from this. I don't have to take this junk, because it was just sucking the life out of me. It wasn't getting me where I wanted to go. I wasn't being treated the way that I had been before. I wasn't being seen as an advisor. I think that was the part that bothered me the most, is because I was turning back into a transactional recruiter instead of an advisor that was bringing value. And it took the fun out of it. I don't want to do this.
So what are 2 or 3 tips you can give to people on going from that, how you got the better quality openings is probably the best way to put it, the types of things you do with a client?
I have a clear vision of how I want to work. I have a clear vision of what my client avatar is. I'm not afraid, even if I don't have as many searches on my desk as I would like to. I don't take bad searches just to fill up a number of searches on my desk. I hold out for the good ones. And the other thing is, I had a number of things going on, and I thought, okay, I've got all of these contingency searches. I don't need to market. So I didn't. And it just was, I kept going back to the same clients that were not working the way that I knew I could be more effective for them and for me. And so I put that in place. Okay, I need to, if they're not going to work with me in this, a certain way that I know I can be more beneficial, then I need to walk away. I need to just gracefully bow out and say, I'm sorry, I'm probably not the person to help you with this. And by doing that, it made me focus more on doing the marketing. So I had better clients coming in to replace them. And suddenly that started making things a lot more enjoyable. And I think the other thing I realized too is, for me, I always thought, oh, marketing sucks. I don't want to do that. I don't mind it now. I really don't. They're just different techniques of doing it. And a lot of that is also mindset too. Instead of me feeling like I'm contacting people and interrupting their day, it's more like I've got some value. I just need to find the people that can use that value.
And how many conversations does it take you to have with prospects to get a search that you'll work on, that you enjoy?
Probably like I need to have 18 to 20 of them before I get a client that, and even the initial conversations with them is not necessarily them saying, hey, that's great, I want to work with you just the way you said.
Right.
In fact, the one that I had just recently that was probably one of the best and fastest and most fun searches I've done in a long time. Started off with them saying, no, we only pay 20%. No, we don't do exclusive. And no, we don't do retainers. But by going back and talking with them through the process that you had taught us all as well too, we were able to have the conversation, because he kept hounding me like, well, what is your fee? What is your fee? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what you need. I don't know what you've done. And so he'd say, just give me an idea. I really don't know. I'd be happy to talk with you more about this once I know more about what the search is, what you need, and how we can go about it, because I don't know if I can even help you at this point. So he was getting a little frustrated by me postponing that. But when we finally had the, and he said, just tell me what is your fee? We're not going to do the exclusive or any of that. If that's the case, just let me know and we can end the conversation here. And I said, all of those topics that you brought up are things that are on the table. Those are good topics to discuss so we can get a better idea of what you're looking for and how I can help. So getting him on the phone and talking with him a little bit more about it, we went through just that process. What do you need this person to be able to do? How are you going to determine if they're successful? And just, it changed the dynamic of the conversation right away. And then at the end of it, I went back and said, I know you said you don't want to do retained work, but here's why I think it would be in your advantage to do that. And just gave him a few ideas. And at the end of it, he goes, that really makes a lot of sense. So in the end, we not only got the fee above the 20%, but he did sign a retainer as well with money up front. And he did have another recruiter that was working on it, and he asked them to stop. And then we filled the position in, I think it was 19 days. And so he was happy with it. I was happy with it. And he didn't feel cheated by any means. He was like, no, this worked out great.
And that's the lesson I want everyone to notice here, because this is my best retained clients came from companies that never paid retainers. To Jeff's point, where we teach people on how to get money up front is from the client who's never paid it. And to Jeff's point, right, that guy paying 20% was probably frustrated with the quality of candidates he was seeing. And if you roll over and you quote fee at the beginning, it's do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're in jail. You're going to spend the whole, if you say 20%, 33, whatever the number is that's above 20, you're just playing defense instead of offense. I want to highlight that for everyone. People that pay money up front usually have never paid money up front before. Okay. Is that your experience, Jeff?
It is, yeah. They seem to fight it. That seems just if you're going shopping and the salesperson comes up to you and they say, can I help you? And you just say, oh, no, I'm just looking. That's their response when a recruiter says, I want money up front. No, we don't do that. But if you give them a good reason why it's in their benefit, like in this particular case, this was for a VP level position. And I said, going out to some of these VP level positions, if I can go out there and say, I've been retained by this company, this is how important this position is to the company, that's going to get a lot more credibility and we'll get people looking at this as a more of a unique opportunity. And that's where he said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Versus I need the money up front to cover my expenses and my research. Here's why it's a benefit to you to give me a deposit. That's
they don't care about us.
They don't care about us.
It benefit them. And ultimately, if it benefits them, it benefits us too.
Thank you so much for being here, Jeff. It's such a great testimonial for everyone here. Just to make sure the backstory is clear, Jeff came into the program, did some phenomenal work on the mindset and the strategy side. And I remember when you stepped out of TRU, like you said, about a year ago for about 10 months or so, it's because you created everything that you wanted to create, you told me, right? Like I did it. I did everything I said I wanted to do with TRU. And you told me, I want to test it. I want to see if I can do it on myself. Essentially, you built trust in yourself and you wanted to test that trust. Yes. Yeah. And like all of us, we do pretty good. But the thing that most people don't realize is for consistent high achievement, and high achievement where you don't burn out, where it doesn't come at the expense of health or relationships. There's a lot of elements that go into that. And that is it's strategy, it's mindset, it's community, and accountability. After a bit, now you're back and we've got those 4 things and you're back on track, right? Awesome. Okay. Now, this is the thing, as you were telling this story to everyone, and this is the little irony here, this whole marketing event, we use the language that we use in real life, time management. Everybody wants time management. I put the definition of management in the chat box. It means to handle or direct with a degree of skill. Now, the irony in all of this, and this is a really important point for everyone here to pick up from Jeff's testimony, is that time is the one thing that we fundamentally cannot handle or direct. It's this irony that we get taught in personal development, time manage, time manage. You're not good at time managing. You need to get better at time managing. Nothing that Jeff just talked about was about trying to handle time or direct time. On a metaphysical, universal law, it's something we're not capable of doing. Now, what you did hear him say is, I have a degree of skill in handling myself. I have a degree of skill in handling objections. I have a degree of skill in handling tasks, managing people, managing activities, managing yourself, managing your boundaries and boundary holding. That's what you just heard Jeff said. Can you confirm that, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right. I remember doing that call with you on like, right. What do you mean by you're not good at managing time? Kind of call.
Sometimes even with the plan that you have, time management means being able to adjust, for the situation that is needed. And if you don't mind, I've got an example that happened just last Friday that really shocked me. I had been working on this search. I've actually been working on marketing, and I had this list of people that I was reaching out to. And I think I called 70 some odd people. Nobody picked up the phone. And this is also from a conversation I had with you at the mastermind, Francis. I heard that word, nobody is doing this. Okay, that's crap. That's not true. So I thought, okay, I need, instead of just plugging away at this, so before I got on making my last list of the marketing calls, I had this list of 30 that I was going to go through. So, okay, I'm going to go through this. Nobody's probably going to pick up. But wait a minute. Instead of just taking the next half hour sort of to go through those phone calls, let's take a step back. So I read another chapter out of that book, Trust. And it was talking about the negative ego. And I thought, okay, I need to trust that somebody is going to do this. I will make some progress. I just need to get in front of the right people. That means I need to go through a lot of people that are not going to be able to use what I'm working at. So I read that and I felt a little bit more optimistic about it. I went back, and in my inbox, there was a resume from somebody that was a supplier quality engineer. I thought, okay, that's interesting. But then I got back into my marketing calls, and the first call that I made was to a guy that I've been trying to get a hold of for 3 years. He picked up on the second ring. We started talking. He said, you know what? I need a supplier quality engineer. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge, and it's not coincidence, is it?
I don't think so. Like you say, I'm not into the woo stuff, but I can't ignore it when it happens and when it works and when it does it consistently.
Exactly. That energy of trust. When you want to be a trusted advisor for somebody else, energetically, you trusting yourself is a key component. If you don't trust yourself and you don't have those clients that are avatar clients and the avatar searches to stop and non-judgmentally say, where do I need to build trust in myself? And Gail just saw Jeff say, it's managing his own thoughts, handling them with a degree of skill, right? Managing his own energy, handling it with a degree of skill. Focus, energy, these things are resources. And for us to trust ourselves to manage them, oh my gosh, it's an honor of my life to help y'all do this. And once again, because Jeff, how dumpster fire my life was before mindset, what a believer I am and how passionate I am. So thank you for sharing all this. I believe it's touched everyone here really powerfully.
Karen says, I want what Jeff's drinking. We're going to show you, for those that want what
we
Jeff's
got the
drinking.
Kool-Aid. No, I'm just joking.
I'll tell you, I'm not sure who it was that said this, but that internal voice is a dirty little liar. It's like, how did they listen to the voices in my head? Because that's what brought me back. Is I need somebody to help me with making sense of all this stuff. Because I'm a solo operator, and it can be a quiet room, but it can be a noisy head when you're in here. And that's what I needed to, just some of the tools that I've learned in this as well, too, is to notice, is the voice that I'm listening to, is that the one that's coming from fear, or is that the one that's helping me get to where I want to be? And it's helping me to figure out which voice to listen to and get to where I want to be.
So powerful. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Jeff. It was great having you back. Great seeing you in Orlando a few weeks ago.